This is a Geek Leader podcast, and I'm your host, John Rauda. This show is all about helping us grow as leaders, become better technologists, and improve our lives both at work and at home. I hope you enjoy the show and learn a lot. Welcome to a Geek Leader podcast. I'm your host, John Rauda. And if you could, please do me a favor and take a moment and leave a rating and review in whatever podcast player you're listening to this on, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, doesn't matter. I would greatly appreciate it. And that feedback really helps get other listeners to the show. Also, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you feel so inclined, you can go to geekleader.com/tip and donate to the show. Thanks so much. All right, leaders, today I'm honored to have Chris Hallberg on the show. He is a veteran, so thank you for your service. And he's the founder of the Business Sergeant and Go Expand, which we'll be talking about today, which is an agentic AI service. Anyway, with all that being said, Chris, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, John. Thanks for having me on your program.
Yeah, if you don't mind, just tell the audience a little about your background, how you got into, first off, your military service and policing, and then your business startups.
Yeah, so I spent the 1990s in a couple of different uniforms. Boy Scouts wasn't enough, so I joined the Army National Guard Military Police, did that for a 9-year commitment. That's part-time citizen soldiery, and then full-time in the Department of Corrections, first at a super maximum security prison 5 stories underground as an officer at 20. By 23, sergeant in both organizations, leading people in some pretty interesting environments. And got out of all the uniforms in 1999, got into sales, sales management, sales executive, then business owner several times over. Exited my last company in 2011 and have been coaching CEOs and their leadership teams since. I spend the most of my time in the last 12 or 13 years coaching EOS, or the Entrepreneurial Operating System, aka Traction. And that is a simple, holistic tool that a lot of tech companies use to get their arms around the whole business and scale well. And then along the way, in the last few years, it's called the Entrepreneurial Operating System. So I couldn't help myself, after being on the sidelines coaching for over a decade, start some businesses. So Go Expand is a platform for companies that run on EOS. It's kind of the glue that holds it together between your sessions with your implementer. Think about all the EOS tools, vision, accountability charts, rocks, which are projects, scorecards, meetings, really kind of the nuts and bolts of any operating system, including EOS, then a bunch of different people tools to keep our humans happy, pulse surveys, dashboards for visualizations, performance reviews that don't fight against the EOS methodology, a bunch of other stuff. And then an agentic AI agent, so we can just ask the bot versus disturbing our teammates with really smart or really dumb questions. The bot doesn't mind. It just knows. So it's like get another day of the week when we're all just having that single source of truth. So it's really kind of the blend of that. Then the Business Sergeant brand wrote a book back in 2017 called The Business Sergeant's Field Manual, military grade business execution without the yelling and push-ups. So taking that hoorah, fired up leadership style from the military and bringing that into the civilian business world. And now we have a community, about 100 veterans, many of them special operations veterans, due to my partner, Michael Crisilla, has been out of the Army Special Forces for about 1.5 years, pushing 2 years now. He was a medic and then a Chief Warrant Officer 3 targeting officer. So Silver Star, Purple Heart, real deal. So the Business Sergeant gets folks like Michael and places them in your organization. So they don't need to know what you know. They can learn what you know in a quarter or two. Your best leader couldn't carry their rucksack for a weekend. So this is the idea of getting veterans, put them in a community, a course, the Business Sergeants Academy, and then placing them in veteran-friendly companies. So I spend my time doing some coaching, connecting amazing humans to companies that would appreciate that, and then building software to keep their operating system put together. So all 3 of those are, the right operating system, the right tool to keep it together, and the right leader. So my work is solely focused around helping organizations scale well, curating teams, award-winning cultures. Pinch myself. I can't believe I work here. I get paid more. There's no drama. Like it's literally the 8 to 10 hours in the world that makes sense. So that's why I exist, is to help teams go after and, get the impact that they desire for their clients to have.
Yeah, that's excellent. Excellent. Let's talk a little bit about uh, the veteran side first, and then let's move into the go expand, if you don't mind. One of the things that I found, I've hired several veterans, and my father was a veteran, and is that you mentioned that they can learn, a lot faster, and I think part of that's their discipline. It's just something about working with someone who has extreme discipline and takes extreme ownership in the things that they work on that makes a huge difference. And I see that sometimes from civilian hires, but a lot of times out of veteran hires. Have you seen the same thing true in your world?
Yeah, so it's the disciplines there. It's a commitment thing, right?
Mhm.
When you sign a blank check to the U.S. government for a number of years to do kind of send me wherever you want to send me, that's someone who really believes in the greater good, and probably, not to say we don't have selfish operators in the military, because we all got folks that have issues. But I would say as a whole, when you sign up for 5, 10 years of service, you don't have a commitment problem. You're not commitment phobic. You know what I mean? You're not like playing life lightly or dipping your toe in the pool. You're cannonballing. Let's go. So I think the other thing is with the military is there's just as many, if not more, examples of really bad toxic leadership, and in a militaristic environment, having a little bit more, brass on your collar allows you to do things that you could never get away with in the civilian business world. So I think a lot of people get out of the military and they're like, I've got a lot of examples on what not to do, so I'm not going to do any of those things. And of course, we all had some amazing leaders that we'd follow anywhere, do anything for, right? That's why you see these acts of heroism. It's not, I'm going to look cool with this Bronze Star with Valor. Like, not that you won't, but, people do heroic things on the battlefield to protect their brothers and sisters in arms, because that's the same thing they would do for you. So bringing that someone who has been through extreme difficulty for a prolonged time and didn't quit. These aren't quitters. These are people that just find a way every time. Like a cat, right? You put a cat and throw them, safely in the air. They always land on their feet. Like they always talk about a cat landing on its feet. You ever see like a tiger, that, like, they're beautiful creatures. They can jump and they never fall down. I've never seen a cat like stumble. A dog, definitely seen a dog eat it at the dog park. So having that grace, having that balance, being able to just absorb BS and cut through and just get the job done without complaining. So people love empowered, committed, disciplined, to your point, focused people who have a good time. And you know what I mean? Like, oh, this really sucks. And then the military person, like, I don't know, this doesn't suck quite enough for me yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's also a sense of they like things that are difficult and they're used to things that are difficult. So when things get difficult, they get comfy when everyone else gets a little frazzled. So having, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a little chaos in the office and everybody like, oh, we're all gonna die. And then someone's quietly in the corner like, we're good. That's a really good thing to have on a team, is that based, confident, been here, done that, got the t-shirt. This is nothing. Let me tell you a story. Veterans also have great stories. And I find really remarkable senses of humor, where if you're in business and you take yourself too seriously, that's not a lot of fun. So they can keep it light even when it's a little dark.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I've seen the same things, same qualities as well, and I think that's fantastic to have around the office for sure. Especially in technology, when it comes to, like, if there's a cyber attack or event like that that's going on, where the stress level like goes from very basic and calm to off the charts overnight, and you have to like jump in with a plan and react. And having someone who's kind of been through some experiences similar to that, training similar to that, they can handle that a lot better than people that this is the first time seeing something like that. So,
Yeah, 100%. Like, not being surprised constantly is one of the benefits. Also, being able to wait in lines for hours or mow grass with scissors. There's some other skills you pick up that aren't as transferable, but it's that group mindset. We're in it together. So I don't think you'll find a better teammate than military folks, because you really don't do much as an individual. You do everything in twos or 12s or 30s or hundreds is kind of how it works.
Yeah, for sure. Let's shift gears just a little bit. Tell me a little bit about the EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, and where you first learned about that, and how you would describe that to someone who's never heard of it before.
Yeah, so EOS is a simple set of holistic tools to align and synchronize all the moving parts of your business. So you think about your smartphone. I don't think they're making us smarter, but that's what they call these little dopamine dispensers right here. There's an OS, whether you're an Android or an Apple or whatever the other ones are. The OS, I'm talking to a tech podcast, so my apologies to I need 5% of the people listening to this right now. I'll smarten it up in a second, but the OS allows all the different apps to function together, right? You got to have an operating system. Most businesses have an accounting system, perhaps a recruiting system, a bunch of disparate systems scattered throughout the business. But it's really amazing that most companies don't actually have an OS, an operating system, to sit over the top of everything and have a nice little box for everything to set in, to plug into this and to connect this. So EOS, like I said, is 6 key components. So I like to joke EOS is like CrossFit for business. The vision component, 8 simple questions, 2-page business plan. This is what we're doing. Anytime someone has an idea, it's not on here, that's a no. And anytime you want to do something on this thing, go ahead, knock yourself out. So having everyone kind of opt in, using an email term here, opt in, double opt in, or go work somewhere else. Once everyone is there for the single mission, and the 8 questions on that document: what are our core values? Who are we? What's our core focus? Well, why do we exist? What do we do? What's our 10-year target? Our big, hairy, audacious goal? What's our marketing strategy? Who's our ICP? Who's going to get us there? What's your 3-year picture? 3 short years from now, top line, bottom line, some goals. Once we have a 3-year picture, we create a 1-year plan. That's what we're actually signing up to do. And once we have a 1-year plan, we create quarterly rocks, which are quarterly priorities. A lot of times strategic initiatives outside of the day-to-day, when done, give us a new capacity, new capability. And then after we have those rocks, we say, what are our long-term issues? Yeah, that's an issue. We can't solve it this quarter, so let's fight the urge to talk about it, because we can't solve it. Let's just write it there, weigh it, measure it. It'll be there, and every quarter we'll see that. So those are the 8 questions. And then we ask people to share that or go somewhere else. And it's amazing how well a company functions when all of the employees want the same thing. I know that's a wild idea, but it's actually harder than it sounds. And most organizations, when we start an EOS implementation, feel they're somewhat connected, but they realize very quickly, oh boy, there is levels to this. So EOS gets you laser focused on who you are, why you exist, all those things down the line. The second key component is the people component. We take this right from Jim Collins' masterpiece, Good to Great. Right people, right seats on the bus. Right people share your core values. They're awesome humans that you love to be around for 8 to 10 hours a day. And then right seats means that they get, want, and have the capacity to do the job. So if everyone's the right person in the right seat, we've got a bunch of aligned folks that are kicking ass. But we also have wrong people, right seats, brilliant jerks. They're profitable, but they walk into the break room and all the fun leaves the building, right? And then we have the right people in the wrong seat. I love this guy. He totally got his last job, but the promotion, it's not going well. And then we've got, the wrong person in the wrong seat lastly, and they're easy to spot, and I still find them in the wild. So that's putting the right people in the right seat and getting out of their way. Third key component, the data component. What are the metrics? What are the numbers we're using? Weekly activities that bring monthly business results is a good thing. So everyone gets a handful of numbers and then a measurable. When you hit that thing, celebrate on Friday. I did it. I'm a full contributor, or do half of those numbers and say, oh boy, I should work on my resume because I'm pretty sure I'm going to get one of those conversations on Monday. When you're strong in vision, strong in people, strong in data, your business is open, honest, lucid. Problems or issues stick out like a sore thumb. Then we get to the issues component, the fourth key component. It's either a short-term issue. Yeah, I'm down to solve that wherever you are. We identify, we discuss, and then we solve, and we solve issues inside of EOS with to-dos, 7-day action items. They are a promise to your teammates that next week at this very same place and time, I will have what I just committed done. And when 90% of your promises come true, that's undeniable traction. The tire hits the ground right there. Fifth key component, John, is the process component. That's the 20% that brings us the 80%. If you're going to send a TPS report, you should use a cover page, making sure we have all the stuff on there before it goes out. And then the sixth and final key component is the track component, and that's bringing the vision down to the ground, making it a reality by creating a 90-day world. Humans get frayed, frazzled. So every 90 days, we pick everybody up, we dust them off, pat them on the back, kick them in the butt, whatever they got coming. We share where we were, where we're at, what we learned, and where we're going for the next 90 days, then go have some team fun. And then we create rocks, which are these 90-day strategic call-outs. They can be day-to-day if they're broken, but they're usually new things, like one quarter to make and test a process, the next quarter to get it followed by all. So right there is the 6 key components of EOS. And if anyone listening to this wanted to take the organizational checkup, I think it's actually organizationalcheckup.com. And you can put my name in there, chris.hallberg at eosworldwide.com. And I'll even get a copy of it and say, ooh. And when people are telling the truth and they have a normal business, it's around 30, 35. Our job as EOS implementers, Sherpas, to get you up to the top of the mountain and safely back down again, is to get you over 80% strong. A company that's 80% strong in the 6 key components of EOS is kind of having fun, printing money, low turnover, high engagement, high compensation. Like just some context, my EOS graduates and some active clients have won over 200 Best Places to Work awards. And these aren't write a check and get a piece of crystal. These are engagement surveys where they're asking everyone, like, if they don't like the coffee, you're going to find out about it in this survey. So to have 94% engagement, twice the profit, half the turnover, these are like the places that are not easy. There's a waiting list to work at a lot of these companies. And that is my favorite thing in the world. When the after picture is world class, it usually isn't in the before picture. Everyone kind of starts somewhere different on that arc, but everyone kind of ends up in the same place after about a 2-year commitment with you and your EOS implementer. So that's what it is. And it's like the silver bullet in business. There's data to this. EOS companies grow about 35%. I think it was 34 point whatever percent more than companies not on it. And it's not just growth. It's balanced growth. It's healthy growth. It's growing the top line and the bottom line without running over people and, trading profits for culture.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love those key components and how they kind of all follow a path and a pattern that makes perfect sense logically. It's just sometimes people just don't do it. Tell me a little bit about how Go Expand helps people follow this.
Yeah, so EOS implementation happens with an implementer and the leadership team, and we'll get access to the mid-managers at larger organizations. But this is a train the trainer program. Most of the EOS teaching happens inside of the business, and the leadership team is charged with, getting the training from the implementer. We work with the leadership team for, 3-ish months. And then they launch EOS, and then we support them quarterly. So an implementation is 3 foundational learning days in the first 60 days. Then we launch EOS usually 30-ish days after that. If you want to go fast, a little longer if you need some more time. And then the implementer sees the team quarterly. So in that time frame is where all the folks we train on the leadership team now are in the leadership team level 10 meeting. And then after they launch EOS, they are now the runners of their sales department, development department, technology department, finance operations department meetings. And then if it's a large enough organization and they're a VP or director, all their managers are in that meeting, then their managers would have team meetings to the actual developers or product folks, or, no matter what your business does. So it just cascades all the way down. And then we're all looking at that same vision. We all have scorecards and metrics that are appropriate for what we do. We all have process. So what Go Expand does is, imagine that, a piece of technology. You log in the morning, a pulse survey hits you. Hey, you need to talk to John today? I do not need to talk to John today. I'm not blocked. So John doesn't have to, rabbit ears, manage me because he's my manager, because he said if you need something, reach out. Right now, John logs in and he sees that 3 of his 10 team members need him. So he just starts his day, clearing those roadblocks and not managing, just AKA disturbing, rolling up on your productive people and making them unproductive while you earn your management money. And then you're working on the right things. But when I go to my dashboard, I can see my performance, alignment, and engagement scoring. I'm happy, I'm hitting my numbers, and I'm getting along well here with the other folks in our beautiful curated zoo of humans, right? We're in the right place with the right people. So I can look at my rocks, which are my priorities. I can see my scorecard metrics. I have access to all these other EOS tools. And, all of my clients would use one of the legacy EOS tools, and they're all perfectly adequate. They're wonderful tools, and everyone, Ford, Chevy, there's 3 or 4 other ones other than mine, but they also were bolting on a bunch of other out of the box solutions for HR people management. And let me take like PerformYard, and I'm not bagging on them. It's a great, really, really good piece of software. However, they, like everyone else, has their own methodology. That's what makes it the app. And that methodology doesn't necessarily mesh 100% with EOS, right? Because it's a different methodology, nor should it. So, using a tool that's perfectly adequate and fine on its own, but when you try to mix it with something like a business operating system like EOS, there's just going to be some translating, an API. Do you got an API for that, right? Well, tech joke. So in this case, I just created, quarterly and annual performance reviews that have a lot of what wonderful tools like that and many of their competitors have. But it's the same ingredients as EOS is inside. So you're not fighting EOS, you're just looking at it like a little differently. And then you would take what Go Expand says and then apply that to the EOS standards. So Go Expand isn't changing what EOS is. It's giving greater context and field of depth and view into what's happening. So when EOS is, by the way, super simple. That's why it works so darn well. So we're not trying to complicate it. We're just trying to give context, because the subjective, if I say, is John the right person in the right seat? If I ask this person, like, oh yeah, he's totally the right person. Yeah, I think he's in the right seat. Other people will be like, no, oh man, his ideas and meetings, like it could just be your friend of me at work. And if that person golfs with the person doing the performance review, okay, now you're on the naughty list. And quite frankly, you're the second most productive person at the company. So would it be nice to have like a holistic view of, culturally, how are you doing? And we have all that data because there's a feedback mechanism in there. Great job, great meeting. Ooh, not prepared for that meeting. I kind of want that hour back. Where's the window where I get a refund? There isn't one. Okay. And then I look into like an AI agent that allows you just to query. I just got back from the EOS conference yesterday. If I got some expense reports, reimbursement stuff, how do I do that? Well, I suppose I could just blow up finance and ADP or what state are you in and all that. Or I could just tap it in to Go Expand, and we've got the reimbursement policy there. I'm just going to follow that. And I don't need to disturb my teammates. I can just follow what they already want me to do. So it's all the EOS tools in a more connected way, and a bunch, and I mean like 12, 13 different people apps, all perfectly bundled and curated to work and not fight against EOS, and then an AI agent. So think about a dashboard, tip of the spear, single source of truth. I'm in there. I can communicate with my teammates. I can be rewarded, recognized. All my performances in there. We have a team dashboard that has alignment on the y-axis up and down and performance on the x-axis left and right. And you want to be up and to the right in the green box, which is gamifiable. We can make it bigger or smaller based on what level you're on. But the point is, if someone's in the red, now we could say, well, here are the things that cause you to be red, these behaviors, this level of execution. So when you have a management conversation with someone, especially if you're a brand new leader and didn't go to Wharton or Harvard Business School or something like that, which is, even those folks need help too with visuals. Now I can see them migrate towards the green and give them more space, more grace to get there because they're making the journey. Or if they pitch a tent or regress, I can remove them from the organization. So my unicorns don't have to suffer by someone who can't fly, doesn't have a horn, that kind of a thing. So it's very important to have relativity. And when you get rid of subjectivity and you replace it with relativity and objectivity, now we're actually seeing the truth. What's actually happening and how I view it is the same thing. So go expand. Every time we have a scorecard, we have a visualizer. I can add people, take people away. I can show average. Are you above average? Are you below average? What is your trend line? So these are the things that I figured out in, almost 13 years of coaching EOS. Is just a red number tells you it's wrong, it's off, but it doesn't give me the context of how long it's been. Is it just a blip in the scheme, or is it this is a long trending number and this is pretty serious, pretty core, could be a wrong person, could be a wrong process. So it just glues it all together. So when you have this wonderful day with your implementer, one day of vision, followed by 89 days of traction, where we shouldn't be changing a lot, we should just focus. And the whole company is leaning into 3 to 7 initiatives. We all know what the process is. We all know what the numbers are. And then we play the game. And if you're playing the game well, we've got a bunch of green scorecards. We've got a bunch of high fives, which are, reward and recognitions. We're all of our meetings are recorded. So we have attribution for ideas. If we want to search anything in the platform, it's all instantly searchable. And then if you, for instance, take a to-do in a meeting, go expand listens, and it automatically gives you a to-do, puts it in your desk. You don't have to stop the meeting and tap out to-dos. You can meet and not ruin that flow. So it makes it more efficient. So basically, it's an EOS nerd got together with a technology nerd who was also an EOS nerd and said, what would be a platform with all the tools curated from the best teams that do this, just to give to everyone who's never done this before, kind of like the master's tool set as the first day of carpentry school. So I like it because this was built by the best teams in many years of study, and now just anyone entering the EOS ecospace or someone who ran on another platform who wanted some of these other tools, it's less money than some of the other tools with all this extra stuff. So it's got a ton of value, and folks, it's really simplifying the environment to be great at EOS. That's a long answer, and I appreciate you giving me that space. But it's complex, but it doesn't show up that way. The idea is building great companies. It's nuanced, right? Right people, right seats sounds very simple. It's not. Humans are involved. So if I can simplify and visualize and objectify this very difficult thing, I have then simplified the actual process of becoming great because we have this shared. What's the thing I like to say here, John? If people could fail in quiet, privately, they'll do it. They'll do it. If it's going to be a very public, uncomfortable, if I'm not prepared for this meeting, or I didn't get my to-do done, or my rocks are off track, or my scorecard numbers are red across the board, everyone's going to notice this. Like, everyone. And I'm not coming into work with these numbers. So I'm coming in early, I'm staying late, or I'm going to remove myself from this culture because I cannot run 5-minute miles with this team. You guys are crazy, versus the quiet quitting, the bad bosses, right? The apathy, the 20% does the 80%, and the 80% pretends to be all sweaty and productive, and we know they're not. So this is how you build a world-class organization, is you define what great looks like, and then you track it, gamify it, and make it public. That's how elite teams don't mind to operate, because A, players don't mind being measured. You know who doesn't like to be measured publicly? Are C players who identify as A players, and the world is full of them. That's where investors lose money on startups and technology, right? If you've got a ping pong table and 4.5 golden retrievers, right? And oh, our culture is so great. Like, I've been to a lot of cool tech offices that look like they're fun, but they're actually toxic. You know what I mean? I want to go to a business where everyone respects each other. Not everybody gets to work here. It's slow to hire and quick to fire is what an elite team, whether it's a sports team or a military unit, an academic space, those are the rules of an elite team. Easy to hire and slow to fire. Now we're talking about the DMV, the federal government, places that are, you know what I mean, that are not bastions of excellence, right? We have jokes and TV shows about The Office. And the reason we have TV shows about The Office is because it's funny, unless you're one of those characters, and then it's not funny at all.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I know you guys have a deep dive, a demo on your website for people to check out. If people wanted to find out more about Go Expand and learn more about the things that you guys are doing there, how can they reach out to you? Or if they're interested in also in maybe finding some veteran help, how could they connect with you there too?
Yeah, goexpand.com or chris@goexpand.com is how to grab me there. And then my business sergeant brand is bizsgt.com, or you can just put in business sergeant and that'll come up. And that is, if any veterans are listening, we'd love to have you in our free course and community. And then companies, if you want to have military veterans as leaders, we place those folks after we, train them in a course. We've got folks just getting out right now, folks that have been out for a little bit, or folks like been out for almost 30 years like me. There's all kinds of different flavors of veterans, all the different services. And then because of my partner being a special operator, he has access to like this really unbelievable group of humans that have been selected out of 1,000 humans 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. And those people are just superhumans and can figure anything out. So that's like the easy button for, I can't get a hold around this region or this office or this market. Hold my beer proverbially, and then here, give you this person and give them a quarter or two to learn what you do. But leading humans, building teams, really executing in an elite way is something that they bring to any space. So those are the places. And then eosworldwide.com and then /Chris Hallberg, EOS Chris Hallberg, you can find, those are the three places people can find me.
Awesome. I'll link that too in the show notes at geekleader.com so people can go there and click through. Chris, thanks so much for coming on the show and teaching us a little bit about EOS and how Go Expand can help us with that. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, John.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Please go to geekleader.com to learn more about what this guest is up to, click on their links, and connect with them online. I would also greatly appreciate it if you could leave me a rating and review in Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the show. And make sure you've subscribed if you haven't already. And if you feel so inclined, you can leave me a tip by going to geekleader.com/tip.